we're going to use arrays in this Jamboard activity set to reinforce the idea of prime numbers, square numbers, and factors. For each color set of blocks here, have them play around a little bit and try to see how many different arrays they can make out of any one of the color blocks. They'll only be able to make all in one row or all in one column because these are prime. But let them experiment, and then when they're satisfied that that's the only thing you can do, have them write the numbers and then ask them what is the name for these numbers. And let them look back at the previous slide if they need to remember the word prime. On this one, have them play around and make an array with 2 rows. And what we want to reinforce here is the idea that all even numbers have 2 as a factor. In fact, you should talk about that with them and use the word factor after they make an array with 2 rows, and then write out 2 times 5 equals 10 under the blue ones, and I think the purple ones will be 2 times 8 equals 16. And then talk about the word factor, that 2 is a factor of all even numbers because you can always make an array with 2 rows if it's an even number of blocks. And then ask them what the other factors are. And then, of course, 16 is also square. So have them play around with the blocks and see if they can figure out which one of these numbers, 10 or 16, is also a square number. And then once they've created the array to illustrate the square, have them write the 4 times 4 equals 16. And then just talk about it and use the words factor, square, and prime. And here's a question you could ask them to just think about. We found square numbers by making arrays, and if it was possible to put the array in a square, same number of rows as columns, then that number is square. But ask them to think about how could we find square numbers without making arrays? And of course, the answer is multiply numbers by themselves, like 3 times 3, 4 times 4. So just discuss with them and help them come to that realization if they can't come to it themselves.